whole entire life.
And now, the retelling of a classic film will take to the stage, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Now, the story tells the tale of Eglantine Price, the talented trainee witch. But with a bewitched broomstick and a flying bed, how will they move the magic to the Theatre Royal stage next week? Dianne Pilkington plays Eglantine, and she joins me now. Hello, Dianne, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well indeed. It's good to have you on the programme. So we've just been,
thank you.
Yeah, we've just been having a look at some of the photos and some of the little videos from this stage production. What a brilliant show it must be to be in.
Oh my goodness, it's just the best fun. We're having way too much fun for it to be legal and a job. It's just great. And, you know, I think right from the moment we put it in front of an audience, we realised that the magic really works. It's just joyful, and look, we can see, you know, the young faces and older faces just all marvelling away at it. And I'm just really gutted that I can't see it.
Yeah, that'd make for a few awkward silences on stage, wouldn't it, if you were to go and sit in the audience?
Yeah, if I just popped out front to have a little look.
Yeah, so tell me more about Eglantine Price. What sort of person is that? Eglantine
Price, she is, on the face of it, a rather scary lady who lives on her own on a cliff edge in a spooky house, and it's set in World War II. So the children who come to stay with her are evacuees, which obviously you know we've talked a lot about this from a historical point of view. It must have been terrifying for little kids to be evacuated away from everybody they knew and sent to stay with people that they never met before, especially if this woman suddenly starts riding broomsticks. And so Eglantine she's a heroine. She wants to help the war effort by training as a witch so that she can find a spell to animate objects in order to take them to fight, because as in her own words, she saw too many people being lost in the First World War, and she would like to take inanimate objects to fight herself. So that is the basic premise of the show, is for her to find this particular spell called substitutionary locomotion to bring objects to life so that she can help the war effort. But of course,
it's called what? It's called what?
Substitutionary locomotion.
Just trips
there are 6 syllables. There are 6 syllables, and if you don't say all 6, it doesn't work.
Thanks for the tip off, Dianne. That's a good tip off to. So now look, you got flying broomsticks, you got flying beds, you've got underwater scenes. This sounds like, well, technically, it sounds like a brilliant show to watch, but technically, it sounds like an absolute nightmare. How have rehearsals been going?
Well, they were lengthy and fairly full on. I think we've all had to really, really knuckle down, have a lot of patience, because certainly for me, I'm learning skills that I've never really used before. I've never done illusion work or sleight of hand, and you know, there's puppetry in it, which we have some fairly skilled puppeteers. I believe some people have been in Warhorse and things like that. So people have brought all their unique skills. We've all had to learn stuff we've not done before, and we had a really long technical rehearsal too, 2 weeks long, which is fairly long. I mean, these days, if you get 4 days, it's a luxury. So for 2 weeks, but it was necessary because, you know, Jamie Harrison and Candice Edmonds and indeed Chris Fisher, who's helped with the magic, they are geniuses, and they weren't going to do anything by halves. So there's an illusion a second, it feels like.
Yeah, are you allowed to explain how some of this works? I mean, I'm intrigued to know as to how you get the bed to fly.
Well, obviously, we just had to train extensively in magic, and that's how it worked.
Why am I not surprised at that answer?
I had to learn to be a witch.
Of course you have you picked up any really good tips along the way then?
I keep terrifying my 8-year-old by threatening to turn him into a rabbit. But yes, we've picked up some good stuff. It's really fun. It is really fun, and it pays off really, really well. And I've personally relished it. But I've always been fascinated by witchcraft. I've always loved that kind of thing.
I think everybody has. I think
Yeah.
everybody wants to be amazed and stunned and left in that sort of area of not understanding quite how it will happen. We're all intrigued by that.
Absolutely. I've always been like that. And I like any kind of magic, whereas whether it's theatrical magic or sleight of hand magic, which I never understand how it's done. I'm always amazed by things like that. And also, you know, by the esoterical magic. And we're doing all of them, all in one show.
Well, I'll tell you what, you need to hone your close-up magic, your sleight of hand magic, because my previous guest, good friend of mine, Ollie Day, has been entertaining people for years with his close-up magic. And he has, in fact, entertained people when we've gone out of an evening, once in Bergen in Norway, and the people in the pub bought us all beers, even though I just sat there looking like his less than glamorous assistant.
Oh, it's amazing. I also have a friend who's part of the Magic Circle and who has managed to wing his way through life, entertaining people at pub tables, I can tell you. So, yes, I'd love to be able to do that. I have to say, I haven't learnt that level of skill in the short time that I've had. But I can do a few clever things with silk scarves and linking rings.
Oh, that sounds good. And going back to the special effects, how do you go under the sea with this? What does that look like, and how is that done?
Well, so a lot of the island scenes, as we like to call them, are done with puppetry. And so we have a lot of amazing, beautiful puppets to portray sort of fish and when we get onto the island to portray the king and the animals that live on the island. And, you know, if we can make a bed fly, we can make a bed float. That's all I'm saying. Yeah,
that's true. That is very true. What's the reaction been like so far from people who have seen the show?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You know, we had two of my favourite shows so far have been one where we had a schools matinee, and it was the first one. It was a couple of weeks ago when they all went back, and it was the first time we'd had entire coachloads of children come in, and I heard them come through the door. I was like, oh God, this is going to be really hard to concentrate because they are loud. And they were amazing. They were just so intent. They listened. They got involved. They cheered at the right places. So that was really gratifying. And then there was another show where there was a gentleman sat on the front row, and he was right behind the conductor. So we could see him on the conductor's monitor. And he was of a certain age, and he was fairly mature. And every time the bed flew, I've never seen such a brilliant expression on someone's face. It was so gratifying. He was just loving his life. And it's just things like that. You know, I rarely really look at the audience because it's too scary. And also, you know, I'm quite short-sighted. But every so often you do see something like that, maybe on a monitor, or you can hear them. And it is so beautiful. We just had brilliant responses, and every audience is different. It's great.
I mean, just looking at the publicity for it just looks so rich. It just looks so colourful. It must be one heck of an adventure. You've actually said that the children who came the other week had a great time. It must be one. What's it like keeping that adventure fresh night in, night out? What do you think that's going to feel like?
Well, you know, I've got a bit of a habit of staying in shows for a really long time. I think the longest I've done is about 3 years in one show. So I find it quite rewarding to do the same show for a length of time, because I don't believe it's ever the same. Every audience is different. They respond in different places. Every performer that you're on stage with, responds in a different way. We have four teams of children who all have different interpretations. So that keeps it really, really fresh. And to be perfectly honest, Eglantine is a really complex woman. I'm not even there yet. There's so many things that keep popping up. So I think that there's stuff to keep me interested for a really, really long time yet.
So you're at Norwich Theatre Royal this week. Have you had much time to take in the delights of the city or the county of Norfolk as yet? Or is it eyes down and just get on with the job?
I actually think this will probably be the first venue where we do have a little bit of time, because obviously in the earlier venues, we still were doing sort of clean-up rehearsals and changing a few things here and there. And last week we're filming the EPK, so people can look forward to seeing a little bit of a snippet of the show when they've put that together. But I think this current week is probably the first time where we're doing just a normal show week. So we should have some days free. So I'm going to go and have a little. I've been given a lovely guide to Norwich by a lovely girl called Molly who follows a lot of shows, and she's written down all the places I need to go to. So I'm really lucky.
Well, enjoy the run of Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Enjoy your time in Norfolk. Dianne Pilkington, thank you so much for joining us on the programme. Great to speak to you.
Thank you for having me.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.